Good evening, listener, and welcome to tonight's journey. My name is Joanna Garcia, and I'll be your guide through the mystical world of one of Mexico's greatest historical lands, Riviera Maya. What was once a stunning ancient city in the Yucatan known as Chichen Itza is now a gorgeous cultural site, considered one of the 7 new wonders of the world. It stands in honor of the history of the Maya peoples. Travelers from all across the globe come to see the famous architecture of the pyramids and the monuments to an older world. Tonight, we are among those very travelers. The Pyramid of El Castillo, the coastline of Riviera Maya, and the otherworldly beauty of the cenotes awaits us. Before we begin the journey, allow yourself to relax. Find a comfortable place in your bed and settle into the softness of the sheets. Close your eyes and relax the muscles of your face and body. Let the worries of the day run off of you like water. Take a deep breath. Focus on the way your body fills with air. And exhale. Now, let us depart. In the morning, the sun has not yet hit its peak. It still waits somewhere beyond the tops of the jungle trees. Beneath the dense boughs of verdant green, the sandy-colored dirt path is darkened with shade. The air is cool against your skin, and you take a moment to relish it. Surely it will get warmer as the day goes on. The branches around you twist into curving shapes, reaching and stretching. In some places along the trail, you can barely see the sky, blocked out by clusters of dark, waxy leaves. They rustle with a sound like a hush as the breeze moves through them. You can feel the balmy wind tugging at your shirt and your hair. The humble trail smells earthy like grass and a little bit like sunscreen, though that may be coming from you. Around you, other travelers chatter quietly, shoes scraping against the path, a stray rock occasionally tumbling in the dirt. Then before you, the trees part, opening up wide to reveal the grounds of what was once the center of the Mayan world. A flat, breezy field is separated into different sites. A complex of pyramids, bulwarks, and temples spreads out across the land. At first glance, with the details still fuzzy, it almost looks like a city in construction, rather than in ruins. But you are aware of the history and the time that has passed. Even at a fraction of its former glory, the city of Chichen Itza is grand and mysterious, an architectural wonder. The dirt path underneath your feet transitions slowly into grasses the color of hay. The land around you is dotted occasionally with trees, but mostly open. The sky is a pale gold color above you. A few structures catch your attention as you glance over the horizon, but nothing can stop your eyes from going to the center of the ruins. There, the Castillo stands, a monument of carved stone, a relic of the ancient past. The pyramid's towering steps have been worn over time, both by feet trekking up and down, and by years of wind and rain scouring the surfaces. This has left the stones smoothed down, looking almost soft to the touch. Your eye is drawn upwards, the steps getting smaller and smaller as the pyramid ascends. At the center, the staircase's narrow steps climb nearly 100 feet up to the shrine settled at the top. That structure is short and square, with rectangular doorways on all sides, cut from the rock. Inside, the mysteries of the shrine are shrouded in darkness, but outside, the light shines around the edges of the monument, casting jagged shadows that follow the shapes of the bricks. Small crowds gather around the base of the site. There are families and international travelers of all backgrounds coming to visit from countries far away. Some are dressed for activity, wearing breathable fabric in varying shades, bright electric blues and sleek grays. Crossbody bags and backpacks hold water bottles and granola bars, among other essentials. The locals, however, are dressed in linen button-up shirts and loose dresses. A pair of women in sandals walk by holding paper fans, their dark hair pulled out of their faces and tied back into a simple knot. Men wear wide-brimmed hats. A group of small children squeal with delight while they chase a grasshopper through the plains. The voice of a tour guide echoes in the field as a man holding a brightly colored flag leads a group further down the path. By now, the sun has just begun to rise over the tops of the forest. It's time for a closer look. You step away from the path you had walked to arrive here and follow the loosely formed crowds that gather toward the base of the Castillo. Its intricate details become clearer as you get closer. Shadows are angled down the steps of the temple in dark, lengthening shapes. A long time ago, this pyramid was the center of the city. It served many purposes. The top aligned with the sun during important equinoxes, marking the passage of time, and symbolized the power of the state's rulers. It was the beating heart of a bustling cultural center. Most importantly, the Castillo was the site of intricate rituals and ceremonies. It was a place of worship and of offerings to the Mayan gods, like Kukulkan, the powerful feathered serpent that controlled the wind and rain. Looking up at the monumental edifice, it isn't hard to imagine what that spiritual energy must have been like. There is an air of old wisdom to the temple. The worn faces of these stones have seen hundreds of sunsets and sunrises and have endured the test of time. When the sun finally breaks free of the jungle, the brilliant orange light slants over the ruins of Chichen Itza, making the stone look like gold. More visitors arrive from the forest path, and you take the newcomers as a sign to keep walking. Your feet travel a route that must have been trodden by the Maya people, taking you to what looks like a long rectangular court. High walls stand on either side, each bearing a stone hoop. Over the walls, there are the crumbled suggestions of stands that once would have held an audience. Nearby, you can hear the voice of the tour guide describing the scene as it once would have been. The ball game, as it was simply called, was much more than a competition to pass a rubber ball through the hoops. The game itself was meant to represent myths and legends, the tour guide explains. You stand nearby and listen for a moment, and then begin to walk through the court, quickly realizing that it's much larger than you initially thought from a distance. It must be over 500 feet long. As you cross from the center of the court toward the stone wall, you imagine the players weaving around each other. In your mind, their legs dart out and sweep wide arcs to stop the ball from hitting the ground. It flies upwards and begins its descent. But another player hits it with his hip. The ball ricochets off the stone wall, and a third player uses his arms to send it into the hoop. The surrounding stands would have been full of people, the tour guide continues, drawing you out of your daydream. A competitive match between two groups of players symbolized the struggle of the gods. To fight and win was not unlike surviving in battle, and the Maya people knew this well and could see it reflected in the game. The excitement and energy of the sport feels as though it has lingered, standing as you are in the very place where the players of the past would have stood. Looking up toward the rising sun, you see the hoop affixed to the wall, some 20 feet off the ground. An outstanding amount of effort would be needed to send a ball up to that height, even without the distraction of other players coming toward you. When the light hits your face, you squint. The sun has begun its arc into the sky, early hues of orange brightening up the pale blue tones. A few clouds sit on the horizon, vague, puffy shapes that quietly hint of rain. Your skin is warmed in the daylight. As you leave the court, your feet find the grass path again, watching the area around the various temples and ruins fill with bustling visitors. For a moment, your attention is caught by one of the smaller pyramids. The bricks look daunting and heavy, but there are only a dozen or so steps leading to the top. There are stairs on all sides extending upwards, but the top of the structure is completely flat. You allow yourself to get closer, squinting against the light to take a look at the details. The ash-colored limestone bricks are large and hefty, each about the size of a cinder block. But the stones look delicate like this, carved away into detailed geometric drawings. Each face has a different picture. You circle the platform, watching the drawings change. You recognize the elongated shapes of a bird's feathers, the majestic eagle with its talons drawn, the sun bursting with rays behind it. Another face holds the spotted pattern of a jaguar's pelt, the animal crouched and baring its teeth. As the sunlight bears down on it, the shadows creep into the crevices made by careful etching, making the work come alive. High in the sky, the light is unbroken by clouds, though it's warmed up. A wind still lingers in the open fields of Chichen Itza, cooling your skin and bringing forth the faint scent of the coconut palms from the trees. It's a perfect time to head toward the cenote. It's one of the reasons you're here. A sinkhole might sound unassuming, but the cenotes of Mexico are widely known. You've heard of the crystal clear turquoise waters and the hanging vines, giving the lake an air of both mystery and beauty. The cenote is a short walk away. The path, as you noted before your arrival, will take you through the rest of Chichen Itza and into the other side of the forest. From there, a short hike in the woods follows a tamped-down trail to where the cenote awaits. The draw of seeing it in person spurs you onwards. You pass a number of other structures as you take your time with your walk. There are more pyramids made of limestone blocks, which look like the Castillo, only smaller. Carved ruins lay protected by signs that remind visitors to stay a respectful distance away and keep their hands to themselves. After all, These monuments have been here long before you or any of the other travelers. And once everyone travels back to their homes or hotels, they will still be here, as much a part of the land as any tree or blade of grass. You trek onwards around the perimeter of the Thousand Columns group, a feat of architecture if there ever was one. On a raised slope of earth, a field of time-worn columns stand, each a perfectly measured distance from its neighbors. Every one is made of rounded blocks, stacked between layers of ground pebbles, balanced and enduring. As you continue walking through Chichen Itza, you think the manicured rows of the columns will stretch on forever. You pass plaques that suggest that the columns once supported long, flat roofs. It may have been a grand hallway in the past, a place for the public to meet or worship or purchase goods. You imagine a market full of vendors selling woven crafts, jewelry, and leathers. Perhaps stalls offered foods like salted fish steamed in banana leaves and roasted corn. Masa dough ground with a mortar and pestle and baked inside an earthen stove. Medicinal herbs, fragrant and heady, wrapped up and handed from a seller to a woman, with heavy gold hoop earrings, carrying a baby swaddled to the front of her chest. You imagine this space lively and teeming. Maybe on other days, it was quieter, air filled only with the scent of incense and the quiet jingle of a priest's ritual garments, a headdress of feathers and smooth jade, brightly embroidered tunics, a cloak that dragged gingerly against the floor. That time has passed, and yet you can still feel its effects, as though the land itself holds on to the memories. A steady stream of tourists and locals alike walk the central path in the direction of the cenote, and you slowly begin to follow. The light of day bears down on you with the warmth of the late summer, prompting you to take your water bottle out of your bag. The water is clean and cool despite your travels. You sip it down in refreshing gulps, feeling it cool your body and quench your thirst before replacing it into your bag. Around you, the sights of Chichen Itza pass slowly. You treasure your time walking through it. You haven't been walking for long now, but when you glance back, you see the view of the temples and pyramids getting smaller, though they're still grand, even from this distance. The land in front of you narrows from the wide open fields of Chichen Itza to the shaded boughs of the forest once again. The light of the afternoon shines down through the leaves, producing dappled patterns that shudder and waver each time the wind passes through. The jungle wood envelops you, quickly growing dense. Thankfully, the path you're on is clear and well-trodden. Frequent signage points in the direction of your destination. Cenote Ikgil, it says. It isn't only the sights, but the sounds around you that have changed as well. Once more surrounded by jungle, you can hear the calls of birdsong echoing from treetop to treetop. Some are shrill, chirping in high-pitched bursts, while others follow more complex melodies, incorporating clicks and whistles. Each song is unique, but together the chorus blends into something new. From the corner of your vision, you spy movement there in the brush and stop to observe, stepping a little off the path. Watching closer this time, you wait, focusing on the jostle of the bushes and the colors of the branches and flowers. Suddenly, a flash of goldenrod yellow stands out among the dark, lush greens and rich brown branches. You recognize the bird from a magazine you'd flipped through in the lobby of your hotel. It looks almost as though it's wearing some type of cowl, a dark head, black from its crown to the front of its throat and down to its tail feathers, which are banded with white stripes. The chest and belly of the bird is brilliant gold. It opens its beak and warbles, tilting its head and hopping around on the branch it's perched upon. When it turns its body, the sun strikes the feathers of its back, which glint in a sheen of blue-green like the reflections on the surface of oil. It hops and flutters its wings with frenetic energy. A cool chill flows through the woods, and you notice the light dimming. The clouds from earlier have rolled in. The warm roll of thunder scares the bird off. It darts into the bushes, bright feathers disappearing in a flurry of yellow and cerulean. You feel a twinge of worry at the thought of rain, having not brought an umbrella of your own. Faintly, you overhear a conversation between two young men on the footpath who remark about a snack market in a clearing up ahead. That would be your best bet for some quick shelter, and you could do with something to eat. The forest passes on either side as your feet take you briskly down the path. The air tastes of the coming rain, but the smell of petrichor soon gives way to more enticing scents. The sweetness of tropical fruits like mango and pineapple, and the savory aroma of warm tortillas. The clearing comes into view, a wide circle of cleared forest just off the path, which has been turned into a makeshift rest stop. encircled by a border of bricks. A few wooden benches and tables sit in the center. Lining the clearing are vendors with small trolleys or tents. There's plenty of room to sit down under the shelter and wait out the weather in the comfort of the rich smells and the coolness of the forest. It's a blend of vibrant colors. A rainbow umbrella covers a bright green cart that sits loaded with different coolers. The front has a menu with laminated photographs, and the sides of the trolley are packed with enticing bags of chicharrones and a rack of salsa bottles. The vendor, a man in a straw hat, is putting together a cup of elote with bountiful toppings. Another stall has a blue awning held up with poles and a glass case protecting steel wells full of different ice cream and sorbet flavors. The vendor beside it is simpler. A patterned tablecloth and a number of large jugs of various beverages. Some are full of ice and sliced cucumbers or fruit. Others are creamier, with tall steel ladles sticking out the tops. Visitors have flocked to the clearing ahead of the rain, and just in time. A gentle drizzle begins, and there's a chorus of umbrellas opening and laughter as people find solace under the various awnings and tarps of the market. You manage to duck out of the rain, though the gentle thrum of it is a pleasant reprieve from the heat of the sun. The water pitter-patters against the leaves of the trees and the rainbow umbrella you stand under. The menu beside you draws your attention, and you decide to order an empanada and a cup of agua de Jamaica. The man in front of you hands you your change, and you pocket it as he uses a pair of metal tongs to pull the empanada fresh out of frying oils, serving it in a crinkly paper wrapping. He then lifts a plastic cup and ladles the drink, ice and all, into it before handing it to you. You smile and thank him, then take a seat beneath the awning. The table is rough-hewn from natural wood. It's full of swirls and divots, and you realize that it might have even come from this very forest. Similarly, the recipes for the food that surrounds you came out of the land, originating from a collection of indigenous people that made the best use of the resources around them. Then, over years and years, those recipes and foods turned into the very things you hold now. Thinking about it gives you a new sense of appreciation that puts a soft smile on your face. You break open the crisp shell of the empanada, and steam floats from it. As you swallow, the heat and spices warm your chest. You cool the feeling with a sip of Jamaica. It looks unassuming in the humble plastic cup, condensation beating on the outside. The drink hits your tongue with a tang that reminds you of cranberry, tart and a little sweet, but with a more floral aftertaste. Each sip quenches your thirst and cools your mouth, warm from the empanada. By the time the rain has started to let up, you've filled your belly with a snack that was more than satisfying, bringing you a second wind of energy to continue your hike. You crumble up the waxy paper from the empanada and put it in a nearby recycling bin along with the cup. The small crowd that has formed in the clearing has also taken note of the change in weather. The tapping of rain against the awnings fades. Umbrellas get shaken out and put away. The clouds and rain have brought a refreshing chill to the air. Birdsong resumes, and you imagine that the bird from before must be shaking off its feathers now. It's time for you to get moving too. You stand up from the table and continue onto the path. The sand and dust of the trail has turned gritty and hard-packed, solid under your feet as you continue. Around you, the jungle becomes denser. A few beams of sunshine break through the clouds, filtering into the undergrowth and giving the scene a sense of magic. You approach a sign on the trail that marks the Cenote Iquil and walk with caution. Soon, the trees part and the trail flattens. You spy an old railing, rusted and reclaimed by the jungle. As you approach it, the cenote's splendor comes into view. The otherwise level surface of the ground has opened up into a cave. Circular in shape, it is as if someone carved out the earth, which slopes slightly downward before plunging into a rocky cliff. Spiky-leafed bushes and other bright green scrub lines the outside of the cliff, and vines from surrounding trees hang down like reaching arms. By now, the light in the sky has waned slightly, the sun slinking slowly toward the west. But it doesn't stop the light from shining down into the cavern, where a mystical pool of water waits. The calm surface is crystal blue-green. Parts of the cavern walls have been smoothed, like the limestone at the temples. But here, a faint emerald green stains them, a home for algae and moss. Other ferns cling to the earth by the water's edge. You understand now why the Maya believed the cenote to be a portal. It truly looks like the ground has opened up into another realm, a realm full of natural harmony and the magic of old gods. On your right, a man-made staircase of rock is smooth and glistening with rain. It descends in a spiral, hugging the wall of the cenote and winding down toward the pool. At the bottom, you can see a small crowd of visitors, hair slicked back and darkened with water, huddling in swimsuits, taking turns, jumping into the water. What you, for a moment, assumed to be birdsong, you realized is in fact the trill of some kind of old flute. Somewhere, someone at the bottom is playing the instrument, the sounds of it echoing off the glassy surface of the water and the walls. As you descend the stairs, hand on the railing, you think about the significance of these waters. You read stories before your arrival, stories about the way in which the Maya people lived in harmony with their natural surroundings. Cenotes were an important component of this. The circle, the same shape as the sun and the moon, represented the cycle of life. It connected the people to each other and to the heavens. Shade embraces you as, step by step, you make your way toward the pool. Little rivulets of water run down the side of the walls from the recent rain. The plants smell fresh and earthy, a relaxing fragrance that grounds you in this place and moment. Closer now, you can see the surface of the cenote ripples with movement. The sound of a splash echoes as a woman jumps into the water from a stone platform across from you. The water churns with blues and greens as the sunlight refracts through it, making kaleidoscopic patterns. At the bottom of the stairs, you find an empty path and take off your shoes, seeing an area where others have done the same. Thankfully, you've worn your bathing suit under your clothing, so getting swim ready is quick and easy. Behind you, two young boys have just emerged from the pool, and they rejoin the line to dive in once again, speaking to each other in excited, hushed tones. The floor is cool against your bare feet, relaxing the muscles there after your walk around Chichen Itza. You join the line with a polite smile to the people around you, some speaking Spanish or English, others speaking languages you can't quite discern. A smile, of course, is universal. The diving platform nears you. Each person in line waits, then leaps. The crashing of water is rhythmic, like a cymbal accompanying the sound of the flute. It soon becomes your turn. A park attendant in a red shirt and sandals stands there and motions for you to wait. He keeps a watchful eye over the woman who dove in before you as she cards her arms through the water, swimming leisurely out of the way and toward the edge of the pool. The attendant nods to you. You step up to the edge and make the leap. For a moment, you are weightless, lifted into the clear, fresh air. The scenery of the cenote blurs around you. A rush of greenery, golden light, and blue water moving in fuzzy shapes and colors, like an abstract painting. Time seems to stretch as your feet plunge first into the surface of the water, with the crisp echo of a splash. You become aware of the cool, refreshing waves enveloping your legs, and then your hips and chest, your arms, and at last your head as you dive in. Peaceful darkness covers you, then fades quickly into light as the water buoys you up to the surface. The muted sound beneath clears from your ears, and the flute's song is bright and audible once more. The water of the cenote is refreshing. It smells of mineral and jasmine. You shake water from your hair and swim out toward the other side of the pool, giving room to the next person in line. You decide not to get out just yet and join the group of swimmers at the far edge, coming to float on your back. From here, the cenote extends upwards like a silo. You can see the edge of the earth and the silhouette of a few trees, a hint of the vast and sacred jungle that surrounds you. You float in the water for some time, watching as the window of sky shifts from